Even before dawn, one Friday morning, I noticed a young man walking the streets of our city. He was pulling a cart full of clothes, both bright and new, and calling out in a loud tenor voice, "Rags!" The air was foul, and the first light filthy to be filled with such sweet music. "Rags! New rags for old! I take your tired rags! Rags!" Now, this is a wonder, I said to myself, for the man stood nearly 6'4". His arms were like tree limbs, strong and muscular, and his eyes flashed intelligence. Could he find no better job than this, than to be a ragman in the inner city? I followed him. My curiosity led me, and I was not disappointed. Soon, the ragman came across a woman sitting on a front porch. She was sobbing into a handkerchief, shedding 1,000 tears. Her elbows and knees formed a sad X. Her shoulders shook. Her heart was breaking. The ragman walked over to the woman, stepping over tin cans, dead toys, Pampers. "Give me your rag," he said gently. "I'll give you another." And with that, he slipped the handkerchief from her eyes. She blinked. And then he laid across her palm a linen cloth so clean that it shined. She looked from the gift to the giver. And as the ragman pulled his cart away, he did a strange thing. He put her soiled handkerchief to his own eyes. And he began to cry, to sob as grievously as she had done. Yet she was left without a tear. "This is wondrous," I said to myself. And I followed the sobbing ragman like a child who can't turn away from a mystery. "Rags! New rags for old! I take your old rags!" Soon the ragman came across a young girl whose head was wrapped in a bandage. Blood soaked the bandage. A single line of blood trickled down her cheek. Now, the ragman took pity on the young girl. He pulled a lovely yellow bonnet from his cart. "Give me your rag," he said. "I'll give you mine." The girl could only gaze at him. Well, he loosened the bandage, removed it, and tied it to his own head. And I gasped at what I saw then, because with the bandage came the wound. Against his head it ran a darker, more substantial blood, his own. "Rags! I take your tired rags," said the sobbing, bleeding ragman. The sun hurt both the sky now and my eyes. The ragman seemed to be more in a hurry. "Are you going to work?" he said to a man who was leaning against a telephone pole. The man shook his head. The ragman pressed him. "Do you have a job?" "Are you crazy?" said the man. And as he pulled away from the pole, he revealed his right sleeve, flat, the sleeve tucked into the pocket. The man had no arm. "So," said the ragman, "give me your jacket. I'll give you mine." Such quiet authority in his voice. The man removed his jacket, and when the ragman removed his, I gasped at what I saw, because his arm stayed in the sleeve. And when he gave it to the other man, the man had two strong arms, strong as tree limbs. The ragman had only one. "Go to work," he said. Next, the ragman saw a drunk lying beneath an army blanket. Unconscious, an old man old, hunched, wizened, and sick. The ragman took the army blanket, wrapped it around himself, and for the man he left new clothes. I had to hurry now. I had to run to keep up with the ragman. For although he was sobbing uncontrollably, bleeding profusely from his head wound, pulling his cart with one arm, stumbling with drunkenness, falling again and again, yet he ran with terrible speed. He skittered on spike legs through alley after alley, mile after mile, until he reached the city limits, and then he went beyond. I wept to see the change in the ragman. I hurt to see his sorrow. And yet, I felt that I had to follow him to see where he was going and what drove him so. The little old ragman, he came to a landfill. He came to the garbage pit. I wanted to help him in what he did next, but I held back, hiding. The ragman, he climbed a hill. With laborious effort, he cleaned a little space on top of the hill. He sighed. He lay down. He pillowed his head with a jacket and a handkerchief. He pulled an army blanket over his bones. And he died. Oh, how I cried to witness that death. I slumped in a junked car, and I cried and I mourned as one who has no hope. I had come to love the ragman, but he died. I sobbed myself to sleep. I didn't know. How could I know? I slept all through that night, and the next day, and its night as well. But then, on Sunday morning, I was awakened by a violence. Light, pure, hard, demanding light, slammed into my sour face. And I looked up, and I saw the greatest wonder of them all. There was the ragman, carefully folding his blanket, a scar on his forehead, but alive. What's more, healthy. There was no sign of sorrow or of age. And all the rags in his cart shined for cleanliness. Well, I lowered my head. I walked up the hill to the ragman. I told him my name with shame, for I was a sorry figure beside him. And then I took off all my clothes in that place. And I said, with dear yearning in my voice, "Dress me?" Oh, he dressed me. He put new rags on me, and I am a wonder beside him. The ragman. The ragman.